Hi, it's Marek from Chat Now. In today's deep dive, we are going to exploit some of Gordon Johnson's FOD claims as well as FOD in general.
Now show me Tesla, please, and let's bring in Gordon Johnson.
Well, yes, of course, I can show you Tesla. At the time of the broadcast, April 20th, 2020, it was at $137 per share. That's pre-split price. 1 year later, on April 20th, 2021, it was at $744 per share. That's a year-over-year growth of 443%, or simply put, it's more than 5 times higher.
And let's bring in Gordon Johnson. Gordon is the guy who has consistently said that Tesla's going down, and he's now saying it's going to go down to $70 a share.
Gordon is a crown jewel of the Tesla community, who are largely anonymous short sellers, skeptics, and researchers who openly criticize Tesla and Elon Musk. I support and like to listen to various opinions that challenge my views and my beliefs. However, what I often see in Tesla community is twisted facts, targeted harassment, an overall cloud of negativity and a lack of knowledge. When we take a look at Mr. Gordon Johnson here on TipRanks, which is a website that rates analysts based on their performance, he has 0 stars and is among the worst performing analysts over there. His average return for the past year is minus 6.1%, so investing based on his advice would actually lose you money. There's this unit of measurement for Tesla stock known in the Tesla community. It's called Gordon. Initially, Gordon's price target for Tesla stock was $87. Split adjusted, it's $17.4. Therefore, classic Gordon is worth $17.4. Then there's new Gordon worth $40 since he upped the price target since then. Right now, his price target is at $67, so I guess we can call this new Gordon updated. Just to give you an example, most recently, on 7th of May, Gordon sent out this tweet. It's once again cherry-picking countries and date ranges to support his faulty, misleading narrative. Regular Tesla followers know that Tesla's inventory from previous quarter is always almost at 0. They don't usually have so much leftovers. If there are any cars there on ships, heading to Europe. If you want to compare, you need to take a look at the full quarter, since first 4 or even 6 weeks are always flat. Don't take my word for it though. Take a look at this Alex's tweet. By the way, I recommend you to follow Alex. He posts valuable insights on daily basis, mostly providing close look at situation over here in Europe. So when it comes to Europe, Model 3 was the best selling battery electric vehicle in Europe in the first quarter of 2021. Let me remind you, that's without Giga Berlin producing cars for European market. When it comes to Germany, Model 3 was the best selling BEV battery electric vehicle over there, which is also confirmed here in the ranking of the models with the highest registration in March 2021. The Tesla Model 3 came first among BEVs. And this is what you need to look at, not the first month of the quarter, second one, and especially the third one. Again, that's because there's the limitation how many cars can Tesla make and how many of those they can ship to Europe. This is about to change soon. Just a fun tidbit, since we are talking about March 2021 sales, Model 3 was the top selling car in the UK, France, Norway, Italy, Austria, Sweden, Switzerland, Netherlands, Denmark, Portugal, Poland, Greece, Slovenia, Croatia and Germany. Okay, we can get back to the video.
Consistently said that Tesla's going down, and he's now saying it's going to go down to $70 a share. Before we get there, Gordon, explain to me why Tesla is at $700 a share. Why is it there?
Right. So I think the reason why Tesla is there is because you have a lot of optimism in the Chinese retail space. So you have Chinese retail investors flowing into the stock, which has pushed the stock back up to 700 after it dipped below 400 not that long ago.
I mean, might be, but would we categorize Chinese investors as overly optimistic? I don't think so. I think they are on point. Giga Shanghai is doing an exceptional job. Even if you just look at the numbers, how quickly they were able to ramp up Model 3 and then Model Y production, it clearly shows lessons learned from the Model 3 ramp in Fremont. And Giga Shanghai is not resting on its laurels, as you can see in this video from early May. It's expanding in various directions.
Right. So if you look at Tesla's current valuation, they're valued at over $100 billion versus roughly $60 billion for Volkswagen.
At the time, it was at around $140 billion. Year later, it was at $690 billion.
Versus roughly $60 billion for Volkswagen. Volkswagen sold 10.5 million cars last year versus Tesla's 367,000 cars. So Tesla needs to see tremendous growth.
Stock market in part works in a way that it prices in the future value of a company. If you ask me which of these has a better chance of becoming the top EV manufacturer in the next 10 years, I'm going with Tesla. There are numerous legacy manufacturers that will go bust, and others who will be lucky to survive after massively shrinking their operations. By saying last year, he's referring to 2019, and in that year, Volkswagen didn't sell 10.5 million vehicles. It was 10.9 vehicles, and it was sold by the whole Volkswagen group. Volkswagen itself sold 6.8 million vehicles. I have one particular thought that I'd like to address. We need to compare apples to apples, shall we? Average selling price, or ASP, for Tesla in Q1 2021 was at $38,000. Remember, ASP got lower due to no Model S and X production. With those, it's usually at around $48,000. Used to be higher, but Model 3 and Y are now a major part of the mix, which is a good thing. Automotive gross margin was at 26.5% in Q1 2021. As you can see, it's consistent throughout the whole past year, 25, 25, 27 and 24%. Now, for the Volkswagen Group, I was only able to find the following. Their gross margin is all over the place. As you can see, it changes dramatically quarter by quarter. 8, 13, 17, 9%, and then even 3.5%. Whoa. So we are going to go with 7.7% from their Q1 2021 report. As for the ASP, I've been searching for it. They make it really hard to find. It wasn't mentioned in their annual report, but then I saw this on Statista speculating that it will be at about 25,000 in 2025 for Volkswagen itself, not the group. Let's do some math. If Tesla sold only Model 3 and Y, their ASP is at 38,000 with 26.5% gross margin. That's 10,000 made on one sold car. For Volkswagen, ASP at 25,000, gross margin at 7.7%, that's almost 2,000 made per one sold car. Obviously, Tesla will resume Model S and X production, so ASP will be higher, and as for the Volkswagen, as you could see, their gross margin varies quarter by quarter. Their average for 2020 was at about 11%. So 10,000 for Tesla divided by 2,000 for Volkswagen equals 5. Therefore, Tesla makes 5 times more money per one sold car than Volkswagen. In conclusion, if Volkswagen sells 7 million vehicles, Tesla only needs to sell 7 million divided by 5, which equals to 1.4 million to get to the same profit level. They sold 500,000 in 2020. I believe they are on track to sell 1 million this year. And yes, Tesla's margins are only getting better and are superior in Tesla Shanghai, as I've mentioned in my Model Y video. You should check it out. Then there are advertising costs in billions. According to global equities research analyst, in 2015, legacy auto manufacturers spent $1,000 per vehicle in advertising on average. These numbers add up. I was able to find Volkswagen Group spent $777 million on advertising in 2019 in the US alone. In the US, they delivered 951,500 vehicles that first year. So 777 million divided by 951,000 equals $817 spent on ads per one vehicle. Those are crazy numbers when we take a look at their profit per one sold vehicle. On the contrary, Tesla spends $0 on advertising. Instead, they make great, attractive products that sell themselves. Elon's recent SNL appearance brought free attention to Tesla and Cybertruck. All those manufacturers can only dream of this. Funnily enough, others spend millions on ads during the SNL show. Fate loves irony.
So Tesla needs to see tremendous growth. However, if you look at what happened 3Q18 to 1Q20, Tesla introduced 8 new car variants to include the Model 3 as well as the Model Y. And over that time frame, their sales growth is up just 5.5%. So their sales growth is declining significantly. And when you look at the fact they had 2 factories running in Q1 versus just 1 factory in the fourth quarter, they produced less cars in Q1 of this year than they did in the fourth quarter of last year, despite having 2 factories running.
This is misleading on so many levels. Q4 is 2 days longer than Q1, therefore you can produce more in Q4. Mostly though, Q1 is always slower for sales of anything. Cars, electronics, clothing, and so on. So it's basically a seasonality factor. Just a side note, funnily enough, when it comes to Q4 2020 and Q1 2021, Tesla actually sold 4,000 more cars in Q1 2021. Tesla even bet the seasonality factor. Since this video is from April 2020, he meant Q4 2019 and Q1 2020. I wasn't able to find any mention of Q4 2019 global sales numbers for Volkswagen Group. Instead, I found articles with headlines similar to this one celebrating Volkswagen's 0.5% growth 2018 versus 2019 in global sales. But then I found this statement from Volkswagen itself for Q1 2020. Deliveries 23% down on previous year. Yes, Tesla was down as well. It's 112,000 for Q4 2019 and 88,000 for Q1 2020. But we need to bring up some memories here. It wasn't just the seasonality factor this time, but the global pandemic. The Giga Shanghai was temporarily shut down for about 2 weeks by order of the government in Q1 2020. And while Shanghai resumed production on February 10th, Fremont had to reduce its activity by March 24th and was only allowed to restart production on May 18th, while other auto manufacturers in different US states were allowed to resume their production much sooner. All of this greatly impacted the sales, and Gordon is just playing the uninformed here and spreading the usual FUD. Also, Tesla was just ramping up its production in Shanghai in Q1. It wasn't running at its full design capacity.
The point is, significant competition and a slowing in their growth we think is going to render the shares significantly lower.
Software, hardware, performance, range and price. None of Tesla's competitors can compete on all of these points at the same time. Saying otherwise is just a wishful thinking. I'm all for a healthy competition, but they need to step up their game. Just take a look at Volkswagen ID.3 as an example. It is criticized for its build quality by news publications, experts, and YouTube creators. Even Sandy Munro was surprised to see illogical design solutions, cheap materials used, and so on. Tesla is the king of each of its weight classes. Although, for example, Ford Mach-E is the size of the Model Y, and as you can see, it weighs significantly more, thus being less efficient. Of course, it's about more than just the weight. Tesla's lead is especially visible in this table, where Model Y long range has EPA range of 326 miles with a 75 kWh battery, while Mach-E has EPA range of 300 miles with a 99 kWh battery. That's a lot of wasted energy with the Mach-E. Bigger battery and less range. Look at this chart of Model Y sales versus mid-size SUVs from BMW, Audi, Audi and Mercedes-Benz in the US. Tesla is crushing them with only one car factory in the US. In 2020, 24% of Volkswagen ID3s never left Volkswagen and are declared sold. These vehicles are owned by the manufacturer or the dealers. In Germany, this number was at 35%. Jessica Meckmann also noticed something strange about ID3 registrations in Switzerland. In Q4 2020, it supposedly was the third most sold EV in Switzerland. It had 698 registrations, but the number of ID3s that were available for sale on AutoScout was 392. This is more than 50% of all ID3s, all brand new vehicles for sale on just one online auto sales website. The question is Volkswagen just loading up dealerships until they are running out of parking space? Once it's at the dealer's parking space, they claim it's sold, therefore count this towards their carbon obligations. Despite Tesla selling more Model 3s in Europe than Volkswagen ID3s, there was 11 times more used ID3s for sale in April 2021 than Model 3s. This speaks volumes about customer satisfaction. In Q1 2021, Model 3 was the world's best-selling premium sedan. When it comes to EVs, it was the best-selling EV in the UK, France, Germany, Norway, Austria, and so on. That's all without Giga Berlin and Giga Texas up and running. I could go on and on showing this data. So my question is, where is the competition?
I have to just ask about the electric car business at all. Why on earth all the car companies stake their future on electric cars. Why would I go out and buy an electric car when I can get gas below $2 a gallon and maybe for $1 a gallon in the near future?
There's no doubt that's going to be a near-term headwind to the electric vehicle space. No doubt at all. Low oil prices, bad for the electric vehicle space. I think what investors are looking at when they look at EVs is long-term, the transition to EVs. And we 100% believe that is indeed going to happen. We believe over the next 5 to 10 years, there's going to be a significant transition to EVs.
Why buy an EV? So below $2 a gallon. National average in the US is $2.89 a gallon, up 60% from a year ago and expected to reach $3 a gallon this summer. Recent Colonial pipeline shutdown resulted in a petrol shortage that spurred the price to about $3 a gallon, and people had to wait for hours to get petrol. In contrast, it takes about 5 seconds to plug in your EV after you come home with no need to smell poisonous gases at each of the petrol stations. Price per 1 liter of petrol in Europe varies from below €1 to €2. Average is at 1.25 euros per 1 liter, which equals to roughly $6 per gallon. These prices will only continue to rise. Then there are maintenance costs associated with your car. This is a Model 3 with 100,000 miles, which is about 160,000 kilometers on the odometer. Total maintenance and service costs were about $1,741, which was for new tires, air filter replacement, wiper blades, washer fluid, wheel alignment, and brake bleed. That's all it took. All of EV advantages are for a whole another video, but when you look at the basics, ICE can convert about 20 to 30% of its energy stored in petrol to power at the wheels. For EVs, it's about 85 to 90%. Why would you use something as inefficient as an ICE vehicle? That pretty much wraps it up. Thank you very much for watching. Please, if you found this video interesting, hit the subscribe and thumbs up buttons. You are free to leave a comment or your suggestion, and I will see you in the next video. Have a lovely day.